Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to give out some horses to follow for the rest of the week ahead. Now before we jump into this, these aren't necessarily me giving out tips, it's just horses which have caught my eye and I think might just run a big race at the weekend, or either way are definitely interesting horses to follow. Starting off over at Wetherby, and I'll luckily enough be there to see this horse in person, and it's a Hoy Senior who goes for the Grade 2 on Saturday. Now this horse won the Sefton Novice Hurdle at Aintree last season. They beat Brave Man's Game then, and it looks like a chaser and is made to be a chaser. It's had 3 Courier starts over fences so far, and on debut actually unseated when running huge. Since then he won a Grade 2 by 31 lengths at Haydock, and that set up a clash with Brave Man's Game at Kempton. And unfortunately he didn't jump very well at all that day, but there's no doubt he has a massive engine, but he was firmly put in his place by Brave Man's Game, who won it easily enough in the end. Now he's a very exciting horse for Paul Nicholls, and I'm just thinking this slight drop in class might help this horse. I think he's been very highly raced over fences for being quite babyish over his fences. He doesn't jump great sometimes, he can drop the odd clanger in there, and I think maybe in a less competitive race this will help him to find his feet, and he might just be a better horse for this. So he's just about odds on to win this race, so a lot of people are expecting him to go and get the win at Wetherby, but for me this is a confidence booster for this horse, and whether it wins or runs well, you'd think he'd definitely improve for the experience. Moving on over to Ireland, and Facile Vega is entered into the Grade 2 Future Stars bumper, and this horse has a huge reputation. Willie Mullins has been vocal before he even stepped on a track about how this horse was tearing up the gallops, and on his debut in the bumper he was very impressive. He beat Joey Machen of Paul Noland, who has won quite impressively since that, so that form has worked out well, and he beat Joey Machen by 6 lengths that day, and he showed an impressive turn of foot, and he also stayed out the 2 miles pretty nicely. So it's 8-13 for this, with Patrick Mullins on board, you'd assume, and this horse might just cement himself at the top of the bumper horses for this season so far. Moving back over to England, and Easyland carries a top weight in a handicap at Sandown. Now this is its first run in a while since finishing second in the Glenfarclas to Tiger Roll, and this horse loves that cross-country type of race. He won it the previous year, and he's also won a few races, not at the festival but in Cheltenham cross-country races. Now he starts off his new career at John Joe O'Neill, so it'll be very interesting to see how ready this horse is for this engagement. You'd think the target would be the festival come March, but you'd expect to see a pretty polished performance for this horse in this handicap, because the festival is only about 40 days away, so you'd think this horse would be 90+% fit heading into this race, and it'll be exciting to see how he can get on over the regulation fences. And the final horse to follow has been a nightmare for connections, to be honest, and it's Goshen, who is entered to run on Saturday. Now this horse was third behind Brewing Up a Storm in a crazy race last time at Lingfield. He definitely would have won in my opinion if he just wasn't hanging badly and he didn't jump great, but Jamie Moore gave him a very good ride even though he finished third. He was only about 2 lengths behind in the end, and that was some performance after the chaos that Jamie Moore had to endure that day. And he drops back to 2 miles, which I'm not sure if that suits, but he is going the other way around this time, so it would definitely suit him. It might stop him hanging. He hanged out to the right very badly at Lingfield last time, as Lingfield is left-handed, and he takes on Song for Someone, who's a very decent horse on his day. I don't expect him to be winning a champion hurdle or anything like that, but he seems to always run his race. And also Guard Your Dreams, who's a tracker horse of mine at the start of the season. He was one of 3 horses to follow for me, and he's won twice from 4 races already this season, and he won the Unibet International Hurdle, and he actually beat Song for Someone. This horse has been a revelation for the Twiston Davis team, because he started off this season off a mark of 140, winning a handicap well, and he's since won very huge races at Ascot, and he won the Unibet International Hurdle at 5-1, so that was a very nice payday. So he's also a horse to follow in that race with Goshen, and it'll be very exciting to see which Goshen turns up, because if it's the Goshen we saw in the Triumph Hurdle, then I think he might just blow these out of the water. So that rounds up the video, guys. So I'll just run through my horses to follow one more time. I think Ahoy Senor is a very interesting contender over at Wetherby. Facile Vega over at Leopardstown is definitely one with a bright future. And Easy Land, can he put in a big performance over the regulation fences to set him up for the cross country at Cheltenham? And finally, Goshen and Guardian Dreams are very interesting horses. If Goshen can rediscover his old form and Guardian Dreams can continue his improvement, then it's set to be somewhat. Let me know who your one horse to follow is for the week ahead in the comments down below.